Well, hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn to Code with Noob. Today we are going to learn something about Android activity and its lifecycle. So those of you who are just starting to learn about Android or who want to brush up their knowledge regarding Android activity lifecycle, this video might be useful. So before moving forward, I want to clear out some of the basic assumptions or expectations. So what you need to know is some basic knowledge of programming, whether it's JavaScript, Python, Kotlin, doesn't matter. What are the expectations? You will be able to understand what is activity and its common life cycle. So some common life cycle events which go through the activity. So what is an activity in Android? So in layman terms, an activity is basically a part of an Android application which the user sees on the screen. So whatever the user is seeing on the screen on an app, whether it's like any application, WhatsApp and any other application like a Play Store. So whatever the user is seeing on the mobile device is basically an activity, a very high level overview. So what do you mean by activity lifecycle? An activity lifecycle is a collection of different events which occur on screen when user perform certain actions in the app or on that screen. So different events will occur. So let me show you this in a more practical way. So let me just plop my simulator over here. So you can see in the simulator, this is a Google Play Store app, and this whole screen is regarded as an activity, and there are different small things in there which is regarded as a small components. So the whole screen on which this whole app is laid out, Google Play Store, is regarded as an activity. So now there are some sort of actions which the user can take by which the activity can go to a different life cycle. For example, there is one event which the user can take is the event of basically interacting with the search bar. So if I interact with the search bar right now, you can see there is some action which user take. So, and the other example is the user basically minimize the activity. So minimizing activity is also where activity changes. And the other example is if I kill the activity. So I swiped up, kill the activity. And if I again launch the app, here is another action which user took, which basically forces some activity lifecycle stages. So these are some of the events which basically happen when the user takes action. It can be any action which user basically takes for this activity life cycles events to happen. Now, what are some common life cycle events? So some of the common life cycle events are on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy. So these are some of the most common events which can happen in the different stages of the activity, like which basically the activity goes under when the user performs any action which I just showed you, whether it's backgrounding the app, minimizing the app, or killing the app. So these are some of the common events. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump straight into the code. Before I do that, I just want to explain you some basic structure of this Android code. Those who are like really new to Android code base, so I'm not, I will not be able to go all the way to basic, but I will try to explain you some of the basic stuff. So, so as I have explained you all what is activity and all, so this is the common structure of a basic Android app, which is a sample generated by Android Studio. So you can see like how I have overridden all the lifecycle methods over here. So for example, as we have discussed, the life cycle goes from on create, on start, on pause, on stop, on destroy. So I have basically overridden all of these methods on create, on start, on pause, on stop, on destroy, just to see uh, where and when the user takes an action, what events get hit, just to give you a simple overview. So over here, what is this log D? So this is basically those who are familiar with JavaScript. This is same as console.log. Those who are familiar with Java, it is println or system.out or println is the same thing. It's basically printing something or displaying something or logging something on the console. So here I have added a tag and I've basically added a log message to whenever this method get run, this log will get printed. On start, same thing, and the same thing is happening on pause, on stop, and on destroy. So this is the basic lifecycle methods over here. You don't need to worry about these, just basically ignore them right now. All right, so here is a sample application and I will run this application right now. So if you see, whenever I will run this application, it will display over here. So right, it's running, and there you go. So here I can see my application which is running, and whatever these console logs which I have printed over here, they will be displayed where? Over here. So you can see the first console log which was printed was activity created, and then after that activity started. So these are the two events which happen when you load a brand new activity right from the launcher. So when I say launcher, what that actually means. So for example, if on Android I just basically kill this app, so this is basically a simple app. If I kill this and if I try to kill it, so you can see like when I press this button, it hit this two events. One was on activity paused and activity stopped. So what that basically means, whenever the user interacts with this button and it shows you this small view of the app, like an overview of the app, in that event, the activity lifecycle is on paused and then on stop. So if I basically kill this app, how I can kill this app? I'll just basically swipe like this, and now you can see the activity is being destroyed. So here is our launcher. So all of the Android users who slide up and they tap over here, this is our launcher. So I'll just basically tap over here. So any activity which usually you like open from a launcher, it goes from created to started. And if you minimize it, again, on paused, on stopped, and when you kill it, it says on destroy. Now the same thing can happen when there are configuration changes. So that in itself needs a separate video for that. But yeah, this is a small overview of how the events happen for an activity. But when I was showing you all of the basic lifecycle events, I missed one important lifecycle event, which was on resume. Um, so what is actually like where this event happens and what actions the user takes for this event to happen. And there was one more event which never got fired um, in the previous section, was on pause. So we will be looking into where on pause gets fired, what actions can the user take, or in what scenarios can this on pause can happen, and when this on resume can happen. So let's kill our activity or our app over here. So overview, kill it. Now I will launch this activity. So when I launch this activity, if I look at my log methods, so on the console, I'm seeing created, started, but there is one more lifecycle event, which is resume. So as a standard, whenever you launch an app and when the activity is shown to the user, it is basically created, started, and then resumed. So unless the activity is not resumed, it's basically not visible to the user. Now, this is on resume. Now, where this on pause gets hit. So to actually demonstrate that, I have actually added a button in my activity, and on the tap of the button, I will display one more activity, which is basically a dialog. So when I say a dialog means can be an alert in JavaScript or a modal. Uh, so this is basically the same thing. So alert and modal. So now if I show you this code right over here, so right now just ignore how this thing happens. Basically what you need to know is when I tap on this button, something shows up which makes this activity in on pause state. So when I tap on this button, there is another activity which displays on top of our previous activity in the background. And when you display an activity on top of a previous activity, and that previous activity is partially visible to the user, so I can like basically see this previous activity, but there is one more activity which is showing on top of that. So now you can see my previous activity goes to paused state. So when I say previous activity, it is this activity. So from this activity, I'm starting another activity. Just ignore this code right now. But over here, my previous activity, which is this activity, main activity, is going into paused state. Now, if I go back to my activity, I can just simply press a hardware back button of Android and just press over here, and you can see now my previous activity is resumed. Pause it again. If I show this activity again, right, it's again paused. Now back or tap anywhere else, basically goes to activity resume. So those are the two missed events which I have explained, and those were two missed in the last section. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Keep learning.